Last semester, students living in the towers were plagued by mold in their dorms.
But they opened the vents, and you could see it's in there. And I never thought of it to be that big of a deal until, we started actually getting sick.
4 different types of mold, including black mold, were found in the rooms.
It was just on like the windowsill and in the air conditioning and in the shower and bathroom kind of area.
Students experienced health issues. One student was even hospitalized and advised by her doctors to leave OU because she was diagnosed with severe mold poisoning. Some students' items were even damaged by the mold. The university offered students like Copeland the option to move elsewhere. He now lives in Headington College.
It's so much nicer, yeah. But the community bathrooms are really clean. The rooms are always clean. The air conditioning is clean, which is, I think, the main factor.
In December, OU Housing and Food put out a statement acknowledging the mold in the air, saying it is no different than what is found naturally outside.
People don't get sick from what's naturally occurring outside, and obviously people are getting a different kind of sick inside here than any other place on campus.
OU Housing and Food did clean out each dorm during winter break, but Copeland told me the mold grew back a few weeks later before his move out. I reached out to OU Housing and Food Services to see if complaints had persisted after their cleanups and to see if they had plans to find a solution for the continuing problem. They did not respond to my emails or my phone calls. Tori Johnson, OU Nightly.
Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 5.
But I feel like it's just not fair to come to college and damage your health. Like, that's unacceptable.
A whistleblower contacted us wanting us to investigate her on-campus living situation. It started with mysterious medical symptoms. Take a look at her eyes in this picture behind me. She says her moldy apartment complex at UND is to blame. Now she says the university is making her pay for it. Valley News Team's Ryan Laughlin tells what could be hiding behind the walls.
So this is the previous apartment unit right here, number 440.
It started almost a year ago for Megan Hilgers.
It started with just swelling in the face, under the eyes mostly, and itching and watering eyes.
Unsure of what was going on, she went to her doctor.
Went to a dermatologist, allergist, everything to try to get it figured out. So finally I had some allergy testing done, and I was allergic to a lot of things, and I had no idea that I even had allergies, but one of the most severe was mold.
So she bought a home test kit from the hardware store.
Old apartment had a very high level of mold.
She says she then tried to get UND Housing to take a look at the issue, but she says her concerns weren't taken seriously.
So it's like every little thing they could blame, they did.
She says maintenance blamed her symptoms on the garbage cans and scented candles, but the worst accusation is when they said maybe it was all in her head.
I think I was just so blown away. I don't know if I even responded. I think I probably started crying at that point.
You had made allegations that this might have been in her head or this might have been a psychological thing. She took offense to that. Is that something you want to address?
No, I'm not going to address that. I will address that. Dealing with these situations can be difficult because they are so complex.
Troy Nolder oversees nearly 800 units on UND's campus, and he says mold is rarely an issue, and legally he can't address specific situations with students.
Our first concern is working with the students to try and minimize the inconvenience that might be exhibited there.
Hilgers says they failed at that.
I was not being heard, and that they just wanted me to quit complaining about this and move on.
If the health problems, thousands of dollars in medical bills, and an expensive air purifier weren't enough, she says UND Housing is making her pay even more.
So I was told that if my roommates are not moving in, I am responsible for paying the rent for all 3 bedrooms, which is $1,125 a month.
$1,125 a month for an apartment with less mold.
I feel like the things that they said were just inappropriate, and they were trying to make me quit fighting. So it's very hard to be stuck in my ways and keep going and fighting for myself and my health, but it's not something I can take lightly because it can affect me for the rest of my life.
Hilgers now has to use an inhaler and still doesn't know how much UND will be charging her to live here. From Grand Forks, Ryan Laughlin, Valley News Live.
UND says they test rooms for mold, but only if tenants request it. If you rent and think you may have mold in your living space, make sure it gets tested because it could lead to major health concerns. And this story came to us through our whistleblower hotline. If you have an issue you'd like for us to solve, give us a call, 237-6576, and leave your tip. A member of our investigative team will get on the case and go to work to expose the truth.
After the initial report of mold in the residence halls last week, Pittsburgh State University took action to comfort the students and solve the issue. Sean Trock is a freshman student at PED State living in Nation Hall and had his room inspected this week. He followed the inspection that took place in his room and has more information.
He just came in and he just took out a little flashlight, looked at all the corners and the baseboards and stuff, looked inside the AC unit, and then just kept doing his business and bid us a good day and just went on to the next room.
Mold is a serious issue that can cause complications to an individual's health. Elizabeth Graham, a nurse practitioner at the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas, tells us more.
Well, it depends on the person, but you can have an inflammatory response and end up with upper respiratory symptoms or allergy-like symptoms. So runny nose, cough, shortness of breath, wheezing, kind of depending on the individual and their sensitivity level to the mold, and then their immune system.
And for some people, mold can become an even bigger issue.
You could develop bronchitis, which causes the wheezing and shortness of breath. If you're very sensitive to the type of mold you're exposed to or have like a prolonged exposure, then you can develop that and need like respiratory medications, like an inhaler or anti-inflammatory like steroids to help with the symptoms.
Some recommendations to avoid mold in your living areas are to keep the area well ventilated and clean. The use of a dehumidifier is also encouraged.
But I feel like that they are doing a good job, just making sure that everybody's room is clean and everybody's healthy.
For Caps 13 News in Pittsburgh, I'm Guillermo Hansen.
Yeah, Marius, Maxine Perry is a parent of a freshman here at St. Aug's. She says that she is speaking out because she's concerned about her son's health and says the university isn't doing enough to fix the problem.
Our children are not expected to live that way.
Maxine Perry sent us these photos, which appear to show mold on the ceilings and walls of Latham Hall, a freshman dorm at St. Augustine's. With no notice, she says her son was ordered to move out of his dorm room late Wednesday night.
I was put on speakerphone to hear that you're moving now because we're working on this mold situation.
New photos she sent us show plastic over a sink and shower. No signs of any professional mold remediation efforts.
Over the Christmas break, he left his sneakers in the bathroom. When he went back, his sneakers were covered with mold.
CBS 17 first told you about mold problems at Latham Hall and Weston Hall earlier this month. The Raleigh Fire Department also confirming a school employee fell through the floor at the Fallcrest student apartments. Perry calls it unacceptable and says she's spoken with several parents and students that agree.
They're afraid to come on camera because they're afraid that if they do, they would be kicked off campus. They would be asked to leave the college.
Perry says she called the university several times and also stopped by. She was told it's being handled.
This is a duty and an expectation when we send our children away from home.
I also called and stopped by today. I was told repairs were taking place, but no one could tell me what those repairs would entail. Now, I was hoping to speak with Dr. Keith Smith. He is the Vice President of Student Affairs here at the university. I was told he was not available today. I'm told he may be available tomorrow. We'll, of course, keep you posted. Live in Raleigh, Amy Cutler, CBS 17 News. Students living in Heritage Hall dorm at William Patterson University point out the spores near the ceiling.
It's unsafe, and, we're paying to live here and to go here, and this is, unacceptable, really.
Students say mold is spreading through the dorms. This student found it a few weeks ago while living in Hillside Hall.
I started to feel like the room was always moist, even though I dried it up. And fast forward, come to find out, I found mold underneath my bed.
He has asthma, so he moved here to Heritage Hall, but found the same problem.
On the floor, there's a crack of mold coming through the floor. It destroyed my shoes, my guitar case.
Even growing inside the air conditioner, a system designed to control humidity. Kaba and other students have complained about this to the university.
It's the reason why a lot of people are getting sick.
People who have asthma, allergies, or who are sick are most at risk to mold exposure.
A person who's, let's say, immune suppressed who gets exposed, they might start getting really discolored nasal secretions, terrible sinus pain, fevers, malaise. That also would be a clear indication to seek health care.
A William Patterson University spokesperson said today, quote, each time mold has been reported, we have quickly remediated. When necessary, students have been relocated. We anticipate the problem being alleviated as the fall weather changes.
The New Jersey School Buildings and Grounds Association does not work with colleges, but they do work with hundreds of K-12 schools throughout the state, and they have called this the worst year for mold they've ever seen. Executive Director Keith Gourlay said, please remember, not all mold is bad, although we know some people react differently. The only way to know is to test.